Rough Edge FM. Irritatingly irresistible internet radio at roughedgefm.com.
The art of magic is mystery, majesty, pageantry, and craft. It's also about history, marketing, networking, and more. All of these topics and others are discussed on Magic Talk with your hosts, renowned magician James Lantine and owner of the White Rabbit Magic Shop, Joshua Lantine. Now on Rough Edge FM.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are back for another exciting episode of Magic Talk.
You know what I noticed in the introduction?
What's that?
Not once did they mention anything about fooling the crap out of anybody. Just said history and mystery and pageantry and craft. I'm like, what about fooling the pants off of somebody? Isn't that part of the whole the whole thing of magic?
Nope. No, because people associate being fooled as making them feel stupid. If you ask a lot of people as to why they don't like magic, if there are people out there that say, "Oh, I don't like magic," it's because they feel like magic makes them stupid.
So fooling is only for magicians, is what you're saying?
Kinda, yeah.
Because every magician I talk to, they say, "Oh, I want to be fooled. I want to go and not know which way's up anymore. I want to be fooled so badly."
Mm-hmm.
Most magicians, most anybody who comes to the shop, they're like, "Oh, I love it when somebody fools the pants off of me."
Mm-hmm.
So it's only magicians.
Yeah, I think lay people want to be entertained.
Why do you go to a magic show then?
Not be fooled.
Why go to a magic show then?
To be entertained.
But you're going to be fooled. Because everything you're watching is supposed to be unexplainable.
Yeah, but you're not fooling them in a way that says, "Hey, dummy, look what I did."
Well, I didn't say that. I'm just saying, like, kapow, look at that. Oh, my God, that was amazing. How did you do that? I don't know. Magic. Fooled you right there. That's exactly how I did it. That's what I'm looking for. Come on.
I get it. So you'll notice today's topic happens to be too smart for magic.
Oh, that kind of plays into the whole thing now, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Did you? And you didn't even know what the topic was.
I didn't know. Maybe I don't know. You're either a mentalist or something else is going on here.
So do me a favor and adjust your camera down because I feel like I'm talking to my 3-year-old.
Your 3-year-old?
Yeah, because you look like you're so short.
Well, okay, I can sit up.
Well, there you go. Now you're too tall. All right. So here's what I mean by too smart for magic. Have you ever gone back? Now, this is probably more true for illusions than it is necessarily for sleight of hand. Okay. But have you ever looked back at the days of Thurston and back in the early 1930s and 40s and probably more like 20s and 30s, right?
So well before any of us were born.
Yes. And you see the sign in half that they have.
Yeah.
And you're saying to yourself, "Good God, that could fit an elephant."
Yeah, there's a couple of tricks like that I've seen.
And so you look at it today and you go, "How did that fool anyone?" Yet back then, you do it and it was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe, how that how could that have possibly have been done?"
Yeah.
Right. So
you know why?
Why?
Because sliced bread wasn't invented yet. So actually the sliced bread is I think that one was 1940 something. It was a relatively modern invention, sliced bread. So back then people couldn't go around and saying, "Oh my God, it was the best thing since sliced bread," because sliced bread wasn't around yet.
Okay.
Maybe that's why. I don't know.
I did not know that.
I took pulling answers out of nowhere.
It's working. So, okay. So I buy that. So, all right. let me do this. I'm gonna bring up a screen.
I mean, there was those types of things like you were talking about, Thurston and all the old magicians.
So here's what a traditional sign and half might look like. And I don't know if I can bring up that picture or not, but
I can get the idea.
It doesn't look like it, but regardless. So that's what a traditional sign and half look like.
You could fit two people in there.
Probably four.
Four? Yeah, like stacked on top of each other, probably. It's
yeah. So, today people would look at that and they'd go, really?
Yeah.
They didn't really have the concept of black art, or not that they didn't have the concept of black art. They didn't have the concept of using black art in such a way that makes things look much narrower or whatever that they do today.
The optical illusion wasn't perfected.
No.
Because I've seen tricks that you have that are quote unquote old style tricks, and the optical illusion behind them, even though they're older, it's actually pretty well put together,
right? Using
different levels of geometry and color and whatnot,
right? But some of it was also updated along the way.
Yeah, well, I'm just meaning there's your illusions have different elements of geometry and color that help to disguise things that otherwise would be discrepant.
True. Yes, I would agree with that. So can you picture this? A magician steps into a milk jug or a milk can, and they lock it up and they put a cover around him. And 1 minute later, he comes out from behind the cover. Is there anyone today who would be going like, whoa, how did he do that? Or would everybody today be going, dude, take away the cover.
Yeah.
Let me see you do it that way.
Yeah. I think that's mainly the thing that would happen today.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the Houdini era.
Yeah.
Where he'd go in and he'd perform his death-defying feats and it'd be undercover.
And he would be sitting reading a newspaper for 45 of those seconds.
Well, when he gets out, he can get out, read the newspaper, go back in. They lift up the curtain. Oh, no, I'm not done yet. Go back out again and say, okay, where was I? And then when it's all done.
Exactly. So, back then, what things were fooling people would obviously not come anywhere remotely close to fooling us.
Yeah, I think
today.
It wouldn't fly.
Right. So now let's step 25, 30 years into the future.
Yeah.
Are we going to be that same generation where people 25, 30 years from now are going to look back at, our square and circle or our thin model sign in half or any of that kind of stuff and go, really?
I think to a certain extent, yeah. I would probably not even be surprised if there was some amount of regression in that, where older things get revisited and it becomes fooling again because of the way it gets revisited.
Because people overthink.
Yeah, that I would imagine that would be the thing that people would. There was a TV show that Drummond Moneycoats would, if I'm saying his name right, he did. It was the Death-Defying Magic. You remember seeing that on YouTube?
No,
not YouTube. Netflix.
No, I do not.
He did that. One of those. He did. It was called Death-Defying Magic. And what he would do is he would take all the magic tricks that are famous for the magician dying, performing them, and doing them again, and trying to beat them.
The casket escape.
Buried
underground,
buried alive, getting shot. The bullet catch, a particular bullet catch. There was another one where it was the runaway train. Was one of the things. Apparently, there was a magician. It was an escape that was done where the magician would get shackled and tied and then put into a trunk and laid over a train track. And the train was supposed to barrel on through. And the magician is supposed to narrowly escape from this trunk. And according to the story, said magician did not make it. And he ended up doing it where he got put in the trunk and everything was going great. And then the train ran over the thing. And it was very reminiscent of what you would expect from a David Copperfield style illusion, or I think even a Penn and Teller style illusion where, oh my God, it's going to go wrong. And then crash, they blow into it. And then he ends up in the caboose in the back saying, yeah, I did it. So it's that whole thing.
Yeah.
Again, probably back in the day might not have seemed so fooling with the methods of it. But
well, I think to be fair, a lot of that magic is over dramatized to make it look suspenseful, but they're not really, for the most part, they're not really taking a risk.
So in a modern setting, I can believe that.
Right.
Back in the day, I don't know how much safety was put into place.
Right.
There was some there was one that he did where he was put into a car and the car was submerged in water. And you had to escape from the car, which actually is a really stupid, dangerous thing to do. In real life, those are things you can actually die doing that.
Yeah,
but he goes, and the thing that was actually in this situation, it was put in that what you were calling maybe less fooling of a situation where Drummond would go and put himself into these death-defying things, but he would be completely undercover.
Okay.
So like the trunk, he gets in the trunk, no one can see him.
Right.
So heck, he could be even gone when
Right.
they're filming the whole thing. Apparently he's filmed in front of a live audience, so he could be gone when this is all happening. The trunk is empty, even though you hear a voice coming out of the trunk. Or the car that gets submerged. Actually, he gets put into the submerged thing. You see him for a little bit with the car getting the water filled up. And then you don't see him at all because this what do you call it? Almost like a silicone mesh gets put over the car to cover up the car altogether. And then you just see a hand pop through and push the silicone, and then the rest of him kind of pops through with all this big drama and struggle. And then when he gets out, the silicone mesh thing is taken away, which is not it's completely covered. And then when he gets away, the car's not opened up at all. It's still filled up with water. Like he passed through the car door type of thing, because there was no water that escaped when they filled it all up. So back to what you're saying, I think those quote unquote tricks that are not fooling become fooling again, even put under the same situations.
Okay.
Because I think the one thing that changes it is we find new ways to justify it.
Right.
Like with Houdini, he goes and he gets himself completely undercover. Like he drops a curtain all the way around his apparatus.
Right.
And people are convinced that this is actually happening. And same thing over here. I mean, he put a not see-through object in front of that car for like a good minute. And then all of a sudden, oh my gosh, he pops through. But somehow we're convinced that
so they're adding elements to it, like a hand coming through.
Something.
Just to kind of make it feel like there's still something going on inside.
Yeah. And I mean, apparently there was a camera in there that you could see, but there was a lot of things happening on the inside, so you could only see him momentarily. And then bubbles started popping up and everything like that. And then once the bubbles cleared, oh my gosh, he's gone.
Right.
And you see on the outside, when you're looking at what's happening to the car itself, you see this cover in front of the car, and then you see movement on the inside of the cover, and then he's freed, and then the car is untouched. So it's not like he bashed through the door and said, "Oh, good, like I escaped." So he passed through the door.
So this is on YouTube?
It's on Netflix, and I think it's called The World's Deadliest Magic.
World's Deadliest Magic on Netflix
From Drummond DMC.
Yes,
Drummond Money Counts.
And it's COUTTS, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I buy.
So if you, it's a whole series. So he goes over a lot of different tricks. I think in one episode he went through maybe three tricks or so.
Oh, okay. So this is not something that was one and done. He did a series of these.
Oh yeah, like almost like a docu-series style thing where he's going through and he tells you the trick. He tells you what the backstory of it was, who the magician was that originally performed it, and what went horribly wrong. So they have a bullet catch.
So these were all things that people had actually died from.
Yeah.
That he's now reproducing and why they died from it.
Yeah. And he's saying, I want to see if I can do it again and do it right. I can survive, basically, this death-defying magic trick.
All right. Well, you know what? That comes up with a great episode for maybe next week.
Yeah, I'll watch more of them.
People
we can go over them.
Who died from magic?
People who died from magic.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll do a little research.
Okay.
And I mean, I know of one right off the bat, and that was Buried Alive, where the guy did it with concrete.
Oh my God.
And we'll talk about that.
Is he performing real magic? What's going on here?
You got to be somewhat remorseful, though.
I mean,
you can't be like,
no,
wow, what an idiot, you know?
No,
you got.
I'm thinking about it. The one thing that I'm thinking about is it popped up kind of ridiculously. It was the one with Jim Carrey that he did.
With Burt Wonderstone.
That's the
drill.
movie. Yeah. I'm thinking about all those stupid things that he was doing, where he gets socked in the face and he cuts open his cheek just to reveal a playing card.
Yeah.
Or where they're doing the hot box and they go and they put themselves like 20 feet up and they're going to stay in the hot box for a week. And then, he starts to freak out. Burt Wonderstone starts to freak out after an hour. He's like, "Oh my God, get me out of here!" That's just all the ridiculousness of it. Like you're performing real magic.
Yeah,
that's funny.
It's
very sad, but I mean, it's kind of funny.
Well, yeah, and the Burt Wonderstone was one of those movies where it was like so incredibly stupid.
Yeah,
that it was hilarious.
Yeah, and then you look at it like, wow, actually some of these things are not too far off.
Do I look Asian or stoned?
No.
Do I look stoned?
You look flushed.
Because
not stoned, but flushed.
I don't open my eyes.
No, you don't. Your eyes are very slim.
There, how's that?
You have my son might have gotten his eyes from you and his mother.
Does that look creepy?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I'd stop. But it's a very pouty look.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird. Like looking at it on the camera, I'm going, do I even have my eyes open?
No, you're completely bored with what I'm saying and you're falling asleep.
Nah.
You're going, uh-huh.
So we're going to do that next segment. We're going to do people who have died from magic.
So we're going from the things that are remarkable that they even passed for fooling, and then now we're going for things that could have fooled if they worked.
Well, yeah, I mean they fooled the magician doing it.
Yeah, that's very true.
So
when it's magic that's so good you fool yourself, and it turns out that it fooled you in a bad way.
All right, so we're gonna go deep into the rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's right. We're gonna go and rename the segment that was you called it In the Basement for a little while.
Yeah, we're not going to the basement. So now we're gonna go in the rabbit hole.
So deep into the rabbit hole. And with this one too, we're gonna have some change it up a little bit more, where we have some extra deals and whatnot for these things that we're pulling out of the rabbit
we
hole.
are.
What?
All right. So what's our
Yeah.
first item?
The first item was, I think you were going to do that one.
Yeah. What was it?
Oh God. You can make me remember.
Oh, I remember it.
Okay. It's actually Leap. I
Thank you.
just remembered it now.
Yep. Me
As
too.
you said it.
Me too.
I remembered it. Oh, that's all I needed. This one's going to be Leap. We haven't talked about this one in forever.
We haven't talked about Leap. No, we haven't. So Leap is actually, it's kind of a cool effect. So
Yeah.
you can take a coin, you can have them sign it, and you take a little shot glass, and you put it under another glass, and the coin is it's like
it's a coin through glass, but it's on top of a box of cards.
playing cards. Yeah. And the gimmick on it is pretty sweet. It is pretty clever the way they do it.
What's nice about it is that element that you were just talking about, where you can have the coin signed.
Yes.
That is, when I saw that happen for the first time, that was fooling to me. That was pretty darn cool.
Yeah, and so here's one of the pictures. You can see they're doing it with a cell phone.
Oh, there's
where
plenty
a coin
of
drops into it and stuff. So
there's plenty of little gimmicks that you can attach to it. You can do a traditional coin through glass. You can do the one with the cell phone. Actually, I think there was even magicians who've come to the shop who talked about John Armstrong and how you even do it at the castle.
he did Leap.
He did Leap, yeah.
Oh, okay.
He would. I don't know if he did the signing part of it, but he'd do it with. There's a variety of different glasses that you can do this with, and I think he did it with one of the not bourbon, but the one of the higher end liquor glasses that you can use. It's a more bellied,
Yeah.
when in the glass. So there are several different glasses you could use for this. It's not just one size fits all, a one size trick for
Right.
it. There is one size shot glass that you have to use for it, but I mean,
That's true.
what you can penetrate it through can vary.
Yeah. So that sells for $70, and I guess we'll put some sort of a deal up there for you.
Yep.
And get that done. But I think we have about 3 left in stock. But it is pretty sweet. We played quite a bit with it, and it's a lot of fun. So check that out. It's called Leap, Leap. Retails for $70, and that was in the rabbit hole.
I'll say one more thing about it too. You can use either a blue box or a red box for your gimmick.
Yes,
because it is sitting, like I said, sitting on top of a box of playing cards.
Yeah, and you can actually remake the gimmick if you wanted to.
You really could.
The box, anyways. But yeah,
it's not hard.
So, all right. So next show we'll do some a little bit of exploring. We'll find out people who have died from magic. The reason why I talk about Too Smart for Magic, can I get a little religious?
Sure.
So
I'm a spiritual type of guy.
Okay, well, there was an article that my sister wrote for one of the Catholic bulletins, and it was called
Which one?
Back East.
Well, Auntie M or
Auntie Sue?
Auntie Sue.
Auntie Sue, yeah. And it was called Too Smart for God.
Oh,
because as we evolve and as we become more intellectual, people start to, isn't
that exactly what a child would say, especially when you're in your teen years? I know everything. I'm too smart for you. You don't know nothing.
Yeah.
And then dad and mom are just sitting back saying, okay, no, cool. Stick the fork in the light socket. I don't care. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. So it's basically that kind of made me think about, where back when we were in our, and by the way, I'm not buying into the fact that, too smart for God.
Oh God, no.
Yeah. So
we're spiritually based.
Yes, as soon as we start thinking we're too smart for anything, then that will be our demise. But it made me start thinking about how back in the old days, with magic, how there was so many things that you could do because it was so brand new to them. They've never seen this concept before, or even fathomed that you could saw somebody in half or anything like that. So when you all of a sudden come out and do it,
the thought of it all is very scary.
Yeah. And even though it's the most ridiculous concept and you go, oh man, that would not fool anybody. Back then, people were coming from a much simpler minded place.
I suppose it's like in relation to it, it's like being born for the first time.
Yeah.
Like everything you experience is brand new. How are you supposed to know?
And it's magical.
Exactly.
Right.
You only have to make it more and more exciting as you get older and older and older because you've already seen it before.
Right. And I guess, one of the things that I also struggle with is using technology.
That's another
thing.
Now,
I will tell you, I saw a magician at the castle doing a set with his cell phone, and it was absolutely phenomenal because the cell phone wasn't being used as the prop per se. It was being used as kind of a utility. It was like, oh, okay, we got to add something up, or we got to do this, we got to do that. There's so many cell phone apps now where you're making a prediction, and so all of a sudden you open up the app and it matches the prediction you made, and it's like, okay, it's an app. But he used it in a way where it didn't appear to be anything other than the fact that he was using his cell phone. There was nothing. He wasn't opening up another app. He didn't have a fake homepage or any of that kind of stuff.
So he was taking the gimmick right out of the equation.
Yeah. And so when you look at technology, it's a really tough kind of draw because people can very easily, when you pull out a deck of cards and you start doing stuff with cards, there's no technology built into that deck of cards. It's you.
In the very least bit, people will think, oh my gosh, I cannot card juggle that well.
Right. And it's going to be there. If you open up a deck of cards, they're not going, oh, well, it's an app.
Yeah.
Well, no.
Now, in that same breath, though, would you think you'd find people? Actually, I even run into this with lay people when I go and I pull out an ordinary deck of cards and I say, oh, it's a trick deck. Like, I bought this from the store. I bought this out of Vaughn's. This is not a trick deck whatsoever. It's like, oh, it could be something. It's a trick deck. It's like, well, no, here, you do it. You hold on to it. And the same breath can be said there. If anybody knows anything about any type of magic, do you run into the same problem there?
I don't get too many people asking me if it's a trick deck because I think most people don't know that there are gaff cards. They see them in the decks that they buy, and they're like, "Well, what the heck is this for?" And they toss it aside. So I don't think they know about the premise of gaff cards. I don't think they necessarily know about the that cards can be readers, or that cards can be gimmicked in any kind of way. I do know that there's another argument about playing cards being, well, if you don't use a bicycle rider back and you use one of these designer decks, people are going to automatically assume that there's something tricky about that deck.
We talked about that before, and I think we came to the conclusion that it's now reversed.
I think it's reversed.
You're looking at a bicycle rider back deck, they say that's a hokey deck. I don't think there's any
right.
Like, no, it's not. I swear. It's like go do that the same with one of those other ones. It's like $30.
Yeah, because I think our people coming into this new generation are accustomed to the fact that there are thousands of playing card decks that are out there.
Yeah.
And they hardly see bicycle anymore. I mean, they see bicycle, they hardly see rider back anymore because it's all these designer decks.
And it's one of those things where it's one of those things, I guess, where if you know anything about it at all, That's where I was coming about with the whole trick deck thing. Is like, it's the assumption now that something funny is happening with the cards, and that's what it looks like when it's something funny. Well, it's not a ordinary situation, because ordinary cards, that's the deck that I find in my grandparents' house. It's not an ordinary deck of cards.
Well, I think cards can easily be overcome, because you can be like, here.
Yeah, seriously, you do it.
Yeah.
If it's a trick deck, then everybody should do it.
Yeah, go take the cards, look at it, do whatever you want with them. Whereas with a cell phone and an app, you're not handing them the app and saying, here, well, you do it. Because no, you can't.
And it's or they can, and it goes and it blows it right out of the water.
Yeah, because it's the same result and whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's kind of an interesting dilemma, because we are very much in the age of technology, and there are a lot of things that you can do with technology that appear to be very magical.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily that it's a magic trick, but there's a lot of stuff in technology that can become, like the whole Apple Vision.
Yeah.
That in itself is very magical.
Even if you don't know what the magic trick is or how it's done, I think what you're running into is like what you were trying to say is the people take you out of the equation and say, oh, well, anybody could have done that because the cell phone's doing it.
Right.
It's not you, it's the cell phone, and it's just an app you're using on the cell phone. Where you have to take an extra step, like now with all the old magic tricks, you have to take an extra step to convince.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's the same level of thing where you're putting yourself under complete cover, you just do something more, an extra step to convince and say, hey, look, this is still amazing and impressive because I just pushed my way through a completely submerged car, and the car is intact.
Yeah, let's take, for example, 25 to 30 years from now, people may be able to levitate with some type of technology.
Well, gosh darn it. That was one of my favorite tricks.
And then a magician goes out and he levitates the assistant, and everybody's going,
so
big deal.
Yeah. My bed does that. What
Right.
I do that every time I go to sleep. What's so special? That would be so funny.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see where things go.
So you can levitate a person. Congratulations. Can you levitate a car? Oh, magic. Look at that.
Look, I'm in a hover car. My car levitates already. So what are you doing? So
that would be so funny.
Yeah,
they need to make that into something.
It'll be interesting to see where it all goes.
Oh.
Anyway, we're going to close with your final say. Ooh, excuse me.
We're going to talk about this, or we're going to talk about this?
What do you want to do? Do you want to do cards, or do you want to do the box?
Let's do the box.
All right.
This is gosh, I don't even know how to say this.
Is it good? Should I buy it? Does it suck? Did I get ripped off? Is it more of a craft project than a magic trick? These questions and more answered now on the Magic Item of the Week here on Magic Talk.
Speaking of should I buy it, does it suck? We just sold one of these.
We did.
We did.
Very cool. What did we just sell?
This is Altair. This is
Altair.
Yeah. This is a coin set that is put out by oh gosh, I'm going to butcher this name and I'm terribly sorry, but it is
TJ
Tsu Magic. I think is how you say it.
Yes, TJIU.
TJIU. And this is a set of coins that you can do 6 different routines with. And no secret when you get it, these are magnetic coins.
Well, but I didn't get it, so now the secret's blown.
But actually, the thing about it is the coins are used for different different routines of coin penetration, like a coin through card is one. A matrix, but a matrix that only uses 2 cards instead of 4, which is really nice. And it's very, very convincing, very fooling. And then they have a routine where it's a transposition.
So I'm going to so here's
there's your matrix.
Card matrix.
Yeah. Bam, bam, bam. And the nice thing about it is like the chink-a-chink where it goes back to its original position.
So why the funny cuts there?
I think it's because it's trying to. Oh, there's another one, a transposition. It's to make it so that some of the affection routines are a little dragged out.
Gotcha.
And like I said, you have a transposition, various amounts of transposition, transportation, penetration, because they have one where you can take, like this one. This one's the penetration right here. You take the card and it goes straight to the coin.
Nice.
And I like this one because of the variety of different tricks that you can do with it, and the gimmicks that you get. Actually, they work really well. There are 2 of your gimmicks that you might want to do a little extra with in order to make it a little smoother. But I think that can be facilitated with some extra care. Different things in order to help make the movements of your gimmicks a little smoother.
And it sells for $150.
Yep.
And it comes with 2 gimmick coins, which actually equate to about 6 coins.
6 coins, and then you get a gimmick card.
Okay.
And this card is not one you're giving away, but you have it works really well, and it's pre-done for you.
Okay.
You don't have to put anything together.
Nice.
So I don't imagine it would be very hard to recreate it if you need to.
Right.
And then another thing, because there's one of these coins that is gimmicked that is a specialty, which I particularly like. It's got this on the other face, if you can see that, where it's camouflaged. And they give you extra stickers to help with replacing the camouflage if it tends to wear out.
Nice.
Which I'm assuming it will if they're giving you so many extra, because, why would you need them if it's not a concern?
Right.
But I like it. It works really well.
The demo looks great,
doesn't it? It does. It's not hard to handle. I watched at least I think a third of the instructions. You would think I think the instructions are in I don't know what Asian language it is, but the nice thing is they have an English dub over.
Oh, okay.
So that you can understand it.
So you're not having to read it all.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's an English dub over, so you can understand what they're saying. And it, like I said, they're not hard to grasp.
Cool.
And the tricks are, you could get a handle of them fairly quickly.
All right. I believe we have 3 or 4 of those left.
We have now 2.
2 left. Oh, because we sold a couple.
Yes, we did.
All right.
So pick them up while they're still here.
Yeah, a couple more left, and I believe they're out of stock.
Are they?
And with the supplier.
Okay.
We'll double check that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you all for listening. I hope you guys enjoy the show. So remember, next episode we are going to talk about people who died from magic and what it is that they did that caused their demise.
If anybody has any stories that they want us to look into, send us an email at info@wr-magic.com or wrmagic.com, excuse me.
And one of the ones we'll talk about is yours and my favorite, Chung-Ling Soo. Anyway, thank you all for listening. We will talk to you next week.
This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.